Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amrutam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May the divine lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Welcome to the Sunday service from the Ganges retreat of the Vivekananda Vedanta Society of Chicago. And today's topic is grace of God. Before we go to the topic and discuss on that, I would request Buddhadev Guha to do a reading from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda.
Swami Vivekananda gave a very critical talk on March 30th in 1901 in Dhaka, present-day Bangladesh. And the subject of the talk was, "What have I learned?" So I'll read an excerpt from that talk. So here Swamiji says, "What have I learned? What have I learned from this ancient sect? I have learned Durlabham Trayamevaitad Devanugraha Hetukam Manushyatam Mumukshatam Mahapurusha Sangsaya. Verily, these three are rare to obtain and come only through the grace of God: human birth, desire to obtain moksha, and the company of the great souled ones. The first thing needed is manushyatya, human birth, because it is only favorable to the attainment of mukti. Next is mumukshatva. Though our means of realization vary according to the difference in sects and individuals, to gain knowledge, which vary according to the different stations in life, yet it can be said in general, without fear of contradiction, that without this mumukshatva, realization of God is impossible. What is mumukshatva? It is a strong desire for moksha, earnest yearning to get out of the sphere of pain and pleasure, utter disgust for the world. When that intense burning desire to see God comes, then you should know that you're entitled to the realization of the Supreme. Then another thing is necessary, and that is the coming in direct contact with the Mahapurushas, and thus molding our lives in accordance with those of the great souled ones who have reached the goal. Even disgust for the world and a burning desire for God are not sufficient. Initiation by the Guru is necessary. Why? Because it is the bringing of yourself into connection with that great source of power which has been handed down through generations from one Guru to another in uninterrupted succession. The devotee must seek and accept the Guru or spiritual preceptor as his counselor, philosopher, friend, and guide. In short, The Guru is the sine qua non of progress in the path of spirituality. Whom then shall I accept as my Guru for spirituality? He who is versed in the Vedas, without taint, unheard by desire, he who is the best of the knowers of Brahman, Kshotriya, he who is not only learned in the Shastras, but who knows their subtle secrets, who has realized their true import in his life. Reading merely the various scriptures, they have become only parrots and not pundits. He indeed has become a pandit who has gained prema by reading even one word of the Shastras. Mere book-learned pundits are of no avail. Nowadays, everyone wants to be a guru. Even a poor beggar wants to make a gift of 1,00,000 of rupees. Then the guru must be without a touch of taint, and he must be akamahata, unheard by any desire. He should have no other motive except that of purely doing good to others. He should be an ocean of mercy without reason and not impart religious teaching with a view to gaining name or fame or anything pertaining to selfish interest. And he must be the intense knower of Brahman, that is, one who has realized Brahman even as tangibly as an amlaka fruit in the palm of the hand. Such is the Guru, says the Shruti. When the spiritual union is established with such a Guru, then comes realization of God. Then God vision becomes easy of attainment. After initiation, there should be in the aspirant after truth, abhyasa, or earnest and repeated attempt at practical application of the truth by prescribed means of constant meditation upon the chosen ideal. Even if you have a burning thirst for God or have gained the Guru, unless you have along with it abhyasa, unless you practice what you have been taught, you cannot get realization. When all these are firmly established in you, then you will reach the goal. Therefore, I say unto you, as descendants of the glorious Aryans, do not forget the great ideal of our religion, the great ideal of the Hindus, which is to go beyond this samsara, not only to renounce the world, but to give up heaven too. Not only to give up evil, but to give up good too, and thus go beyond all, beyond this phenomenal existence, and ultimately realize the Satchit Ananda Brahman, the absolute existence, knowledge, bliss, which is Brahman. Here it's written.
Thank you, Buddhadev, for a wonderful reading from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda. And now we come to the discourse, the God's grace. Swami Vivekananda so vividly told about the grace that we already have. Every one of us have the grace of God in the form of all of these three things needed. The first one, as it is said, three graces of God that we have. First is the human body, human life. It is very rare to get human life, according to the Sanatana Dharma or Vedanta, that we get human body after going through many species of birth, from from animals and worms, and all considered to be the different species that a soul has to pass through. And finally, we are evolved to have the human body. It's such a rare occasion. And this human body, it is said we get by our good karma, but for that, grace of God is important. Whatever karma that we do, behind that good karma also there is the grace of God. Without God's grace, we would not have this human body. So, this having human body is grace of God, the one grace of God. So, Shankaracharya says in the Viveka Chudamani that it was read in from the complete work, Swamiji quotes there in his lecture that Durlabham Trayame Vaitat Deva Nugraha Hetukam. Three things are very rare to have, and it can be have only by the grace of God. That is what Shankaracharya says, who is staunch Advaitist, and how he brings grace of God in our life. And what are the three things? First of the three things is human body, being born in a human body, the human life. He goes to say that human life is so rare that labdhva kathanchit naral janma durlabham tathapi pungstvam shruti paradarshanam yastvatma muktau na etet mudhadhi sahi atmaho sahi atmaha swam vinihanti asadgrahat. Having got this human body, so rare to get by the grace of God, and having obtained that, if we do not strive for our liberation, to strive for having knowledge, or to strive having purity of heart, or having realization of God, whatever language you use for spiritual upliftment, whatever you use is the same thing. Brahma Jnana, Bhagavan Labh, God realization, purification of the heart, all mean the same thing. That is possible only in human life. Only in human life. And so Narajanma Durlabham. It is very rarely we have got. So if we do not do, says Sankara, so rare to find, so by the grace of God we have got. If we fail to achieve the goal of human life, the ultimate goal of human life, we will be missing a great opportunity given to us by God. Wonderful opportunity will be just missed. It will go in vain. And it is, if we do not utilize it to have the mukti or to realize our true self, it will be like committing suicide. That called atmaha. Having you have got that, but you missed all opportunity, rare opportunity to realize the self. And one who does that, who misses such rare opportunity, Shankara says they are moodhadhi. Their intellect is clouded. Their intellect is not pure enough. Intellect do not know what is right, what is wrong, what is to be done, what is not to be done. Having given this opportunity, you miss this opportunity. One who would be so foolish intellectually not to utilize this body for the purpose that it has been created, it has been given to you, it has been offered to you, it has been offered to you by the grace of God. Don't miss this opportunity, says Shankara. That's why he uses the term Mudha. Mudha means translated fool, but it's very strong word the Shankara uses. It is like stupid. If you do not utilize the thing for which you are ready, you have that opportunity, you have that capacity, and yet you do not do it. So you are stupid. You do not know what is given to you. So this one is the grace of God that we all have got. We all have human body. And among them, Shankara says, among the human body, also manliness, pungstvam, translated male, but doesn't mean male. The human body which has the opportunity to have the manliness. Swami Vivekananda says, the more older I grow, the more I feel that it is everything lies in manliness. Manliness is not the quality of only male, only men. It is the quality of any human being that has steadfast nature, that can strive, that has firm resolve, that is not wavers in the small situation and he shakes with a little challenges and adversity, which is strong mentally. That is the manliness. Call it manliness, call it womanliness, call it humanliness, doesn't matter. The word used is manliness that we all have. Every human being, irrespective of which gender our body is born, we have received whatever gender. If we have that determination to achieve the goal and do not deviate from the goal, we have manliness. And Shankara says, having got the human body and then having that manliness, you are able to discern right from wrong, what is important from unimportant, what is to be done and what not to be done, what is the perfect achievement that you want to achieve, and what how you want to fritter, if you want to fritter away your opportunity in just indulgence in the world. And ultimately this body will last for the small time this opportunity is given to you. What a small time, so people say they live 100 years. But 100 years is not the opportunity given to you. It's mostly the youthful time when you are, say, until 40. In Bengali, there is saying, job dhyan bharosa, chollis purole phorosa. That is the prayer, spiritual practice are very important to be done until you are 40. After 40, you start declining. Your body starts getting old, and your striving for spiritual practice will be less because your body is growing old. So try everything to do until you are 40. Great opportunity to realize the truth. What about of us who didn't have opportunity or who didn't hear about this, and our 40 years is gone much earlier? Have we missed the train? Have we missed the opportunity? They say there is no age for spiritual practice. It can be start very young, it can be start very old. Whenever we hear about it, let us start and start to have the spiritual practice. Let us start to utilize the wonderful life given to us by the grace of God, and that life is life of human being. A great opportunity, great body. In human life, it is alone that is discernment. We have choice whether we want to have a spiritual realization or we want to live in the world with all worldly desires ever trying to fulfill. Life will go on. We'll become old. We'll die. Whether we strive for spirituality, we will die. Whether we remain in the world without having any inclination to make ourselves better person, we will die. But there is a choice whether we like or not. That is only in the human body. It is in the human body that we can attain the sattva guna. We can attain that serenity, that peacefulness of the mind. In other lives, it is all tamas. They only live in the body just to eat. And it is said that the difference between human beings and animals, they say, ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha samanam etat pasubhir naranam. Human beings and animals, they want to eat, they want to they are beset with fear, and they have to go to sleep, and they want to procreate. All this is common. How man is, human being is different, superior, so important. Nara janma durlabham dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesho. They have dharma, they have right to choose. They can choose this, they can discern between from right to wrong, what is right and what wrong, and they can choose that. They have this sense of choice that is given to us. Our intellect can choose this is right, this is wrong to do. That is possible in human life, and that is the dharma, as they say. Dharma, living according to what is the better life, how to make our life the fulfillment of our life. So that is the dharma can lead us to that. And dharma is the one who teaches us how to perform our duty well in life, how to remain not attached to the thing, can we make our greed and anger and all that impurities of the mind less and less. That is all dharma will help us in doing that. So we want progress in our status of the mind. That's what the human mind can do. So it goes to sattva, live in serenity and peace, judges the thing nicely, then discerns every moment and takes choice every moment. That's how the human life is. And then chooses what is suitable for me, what is my real goal, ultimate goal in life. And this sattva comes from tamas to rajas to sattva. So rajas activity, passion, putting something, inventing, finding something new, that is also is possible in human life. In animal life, there is no activity of rajas that much. There is one tamas and little of rajas that makes them move to find food, and all other basic urges of life they fulfill. But in human being, there is higher search. They're not satisfied with only ahara nidra bhaya maithunam cha. They want something to produce, something to establish, something new to find, something outgrow our own state of status of our inner level. We want inner growth. That is possible in human life. So rare is the human life, and it is given only by the grace of God. And so this life is, we are very fortunate to have this human life. All of us fortunate. So this is one of the grace of God. What is the next grace? Is it says, um, and, it is Manushyattvam Mumukshutvam. Mumukshutvam is seeking to have a strong desire to have freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from all limitation, all compulsion. Are we free? We are not free. All our actions are all conditioned to become unconditioned, to become free from limitation. Our things, every action is somehow it is conditioned by others. So much so that our happiness also. Someone comes and praises, then we are happy. Ah, I'm so good. So other comes and says, "Oh, you are that person," is insult. Then I become sad. I cannot remain even happy at my choice because I am dependent on others to become happy or unhappy. It is not even up to me. So much of limited and so much of dependent we are even for happiness, which is my own property. I could remain happy. So this Mumukshutta teaches us how we can become independent of this world. And this world may do anything, but I will not lose peace. I will remain always happy because happiness is always there in me. Sat Chit Ananda, as it is told, is my nature. This Ananda, this bliss, this joy is my nature. And that Ananda is expressed as joy, irrespective of this world. When we get freedom from this bondage of this world, we become independent from this world, we remain always happy. That is one mumukshutta, to be free from the bondage of the world. That is a small example of bondage that I told. The greater bondage is bhava samsara, the cycle of birth and death, this janma marana chakra, that is always making us, we don't know how many times we are dead and we are born again. Dead and born. It goes on like the wheel that moves on the road. When you drive the car, how many times the wheel moves? Like that, we have been moving in different bodies from which time that we don't know. Janma Marana Chakra is going on. It has to cease. We should be tired of being born and died, being assuming one body and other body. And what purpose? If we have no purpose to emancipation, we have no purpose for the knowledge, then what is the purpose of birth? That's why they say in Sanskrit, Kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusanjaret. Why did I have this body? For which desire that I had to have the body? Only purpose of having human body has to be mumukshutta, have to attain the highest realization, the highest freedom that will set us free from the bondage and limitation and compulsion of the world, and this ever going on this cycle of birth and death. So this mumukshutva, desire for spiritual evolution, spiritual unfoldment, the true desire for having the true knowledge of the self, or having the desire to love God intensely. That is, if I could love God intensely, have the true love for God and achieve everything. That is the sign of the grace of God. Once Virochana and Indra, they went to their creator, Brahma, Prajapati. And they went both, they were rivals. Virochana is the king of Asuras, and Indra is the king of Devas, gods. So they both went and they stayed in with Brahma for 32 years doing penance, austerity, and practice. And then after 32 years, Brahma appears to them in Brahma Loka and says, "What do you want?" He said, "We want to know the Atman. We want to have the true knowledge of ourselves. We have heard that by knowing Atman, we become the Lord of everything. We become free and always blissful. We all our desires are fulfilled if we know the Atman, if we know who we are. All our desires are fulfilled. We want to know the Atman. Father, please teach us. What is this Atman?" Then Brahma said, "One that is seen in your eye is the Atman. And go and see in that what is reflected in the pool of water, that is Atman." And both went, both saw what is seen in the, this is a reflection of the body. And they went to the pool of water and they saw reflection, there is the body seen. So they thought first, oh, what is seen is Atman. But what is perceived, that real perceiver is the Atman, that was the teaching. They couldn't understand that. Whatever is perceived, the reflection itself is the Atman, and they concluded this body is the Atman. Virochana went back to his kingdom and told all his citizens that what we, this body, that is the Atman. So decorate it, make it beautiful and strong, make it healthy and give it whatever it wants. Because this is the self of the body, is the true self. So whoever says that whose life is centered on the body itself, they are like asuras. They don't know greater joy. They cannot have their all desires fulfilled, and they suffer consequently. Indra also thought when he was going to heaven, then he suddenly thought, Brahma said, whatever you see is Atman, but the body changes, it lasts for some time, and but the Atman is all glorious, eternal, immortal. There is no suffering in the body, suffering in the Atman. How can that be? He approaches Brahma again and says, Father, I think I couldn't understand your teaching. I feel that this body cannot be Atman, because Atman is the ultimate reality. It's unchanging, immortal, blissful reality. I find so many limitations in the Atman. So please teach me again so that I can understand what is Atman, what is my true self. Then Brahma says, what you, and then Brahma says, now have the austerity for 32 more years. And Indra goes there, 32 years he does. And he says, whatever, after 32 years, then Brahma comes to him, and whatever you see, you perceive in the dream, that is the Atman. And in the dream you perceive what works in the Atman. It is the mind, mental formation of the dream. He then was going back home happily. Oh, this, whatever the mind works, mind is the Atman. While going, then he thought the dreams are sometimes good, sometimes bad. How can the dream be Atman? There is not always joy in the dream. Dream is not always all blissful. This mind, which makes the dreams, is ever changing. That is healthy mind and weak mind, happy mind and restless mind. So mind cannot be the Atman as is defined. He again goes to Brahma. And Brahma then says, Lord, I want to know what is Atman. I don't think that mind can be the Atman or dream can be Atman. So then he says 32 more years, more tapasya. So 32 plus 32 plus 32 already done. Then Brahma gives him whatever you find in deep sleep, that is the Atman. Brahma was now satisfied. Deep sleep, there is all bliss. And deep sleep is so happy. When we wake up from sleep, we feel so happy. I had a so wonderful sleep, we say. That the joy of deep sleep even persists after waking up. Nothing I understood, I knew in deep sleep. All our pain and suffering and the problems, all they resolved in deep sleep. So deep sleep is like where all the suffering ceases, all our worldly existence ceases. So he was happy going back, and suddenly he found, how can Atman be deep sleep where there is no awareness? It is all like dark and dull. Though all suffering, no suffering is there of the human existence, but Atman should be light. It should be awareness. It is Chaitanya. And deep sleep, how can it be Atman? So he again went to Brahma. You say deep sleep is Atman, where their mind function is subdued, their body awareness is gone, but and there is the experience of bliss. But that bliss is not there is experience of bliss which is not understood. That is like tamas, that is dullness, that is darkness. But Atman cannot be this. I think I again misunderstood your teaching. So Brahma says, now again austerity. Again 32 years, Brahma says, no, now discount. We have come very close to understanding the Atman. Now only 5 years of austerity. After that, Brahma teaches him about the Atman. Whatever you perceive through all this, whoever perceives all these stages is the Atman. Then he finally understands the Atman and comes back the true nature of the Atman. How did Indra knew all natures of the Atman? Two things. One was he practiced austerity for 102 years, 101 years. And another was he was relentless in search of the Atman. His mumukshutta was great. He was not deviated from the search of Atman, doing austerity for years after years. But I have to know this. Whenever there is that assertion and that patience to understand the truth, only truth reveals that way. In the life of Buddha, we read that he sat down under a bo tree on Vaishakha Purnima day and resolved that I will not get up from the seat unless I realize the Bodhi, which is difficult to get in many lives. I have to gain the knowledge of Bodhi. I have to understand the reality this very night. I will not get up from this. And with that resolve, that firmness, that steadfastness, he sat down that very night. He understood, he realized, he attained the Bodhi, he experienced Nirvana. So that's how it happens with firmness of resolve. And of course, Brahma they had to attain by the grace of God. Buddha didn't believe in God. Not that. So Sri Ramakrishna said, it's not that Buddha didn't believe in God. He just didn't speak about God. He didn't talk about God. People misunderstand what God is. Buddha laid more emphasis on practice, on self-effort. Doing the practice, the grace will automatically come to you. God is always gracious, whether you call him or not. Just you do some effort, and then by the grace of God, you will attain the truth. You will find what you are searching. You will attain success in your endeavor. It all have to happen by the grace of God. So as Buddha got nirvana that very night, we all also, if we strive, like Indra did for year after year, not living without understanding what reality is, without experiencing of your nature of the true self, then only we can have the grace of God fulfilled. Mumukshutva, desire to realize our true nature, desire to have God realization. That is also grace of God. Otherwise, you find so many people in the world. How few are there who really strive for spiritual progress? Very few. So, what is that? God has only grace for all of us who are sitting here today or just listening the talk, and not for the people of the world? No, God has grace for everyone. But some people do not utilize God's grace. Sri Ramakrishna says the grace, the wind of grace is always flowing, is always blowing. And you want to cross over in the river, you unfurl the sail, catch that wind, and the God's grace, the wind, the power of wind will take you across the river. But to make utilization of the grace of God, you have to unfurl the sail, do a little of practice, do it steadfastness, that I will do this with self-confidence on the grace of God, self-confidence in your Guru and in the Shastras, and you will realize the truth. Only we need to know that realization of the reality of our true self is the goal of life, is the ultimate goal of life. Everything else is not the goal of life. To pass in the exam, to have a good job, to have a good family, to live in a nice house, have a good car, have a nice phone. That is not the goal of life. These are all simple needs of life that is needed. But ultimate goal of life is to realize the truth, to know our own true nature, to know who I am. So that is mumukshutva. And this desire to know true self is also by the grace of God that we have got. Now, after having this desire to know the self, God's third grace. What is that divine third grace? It is Mahapurusha Samsraya, protective association of the holy. That's what is called Mahapurusha Samsraya. Protective care of the perfected says. That's what Mahapurusha is. As Swami Vivekananda was being read from his lecture, that he said, Mahapurusha is the one who really can guide us in search of God. And that person has to be like the spring season. Vasanta Valloka Hitam Charanta. That what is Vasanta Vallok? What is why you compare the good teacher or a great sage is compared with the Vasanta Ritu? Vasanta, when this spring season comes, there is all nice flowers, fruits, greenery, winter is gone, all that happens in the spring season. But spring itself doesn't do it with self-interest. Oh, I have to go this, I will give this and people will praise. It has no self-interest at all. Just it comes in the course of the cycle of nature and the things change. Like that is the great teachers. They just tell you the truth. They guide you in your search for spirituality without any self-interest, that I want to increase the number of my disciples, so rich person will be my disciples. People will say, oh, this person has 1000 disciples. Nothing like that. When Guru is counting the number of his disciples and depending on disciples' glory to be his own glory, or have some other wish from his by inspiring others in his spiritual life, then that is not the true Guru. It is not the Mahapurusha. Mahapurusha should be totally unselfish. That is the one ideal of Mahapurusha. Other is Shrotriyo Abrijino Akamahato. Three other qualities. What are those? Shrutya, he should know mm, the essence of the scriptures, Shrotriya. And Abrijino, free from all sins. All his impurities have been lost by the spiritual practice. So he doesn't have any baggage carrying of dirt. So Abrijino. Then Akamahato does not have any desire, free from all desires, free from desire, free from impurities, and versed in the Vedas, knows the essence of Vedas and have practiced that. And Sa Brahmavittama, and also have realized the truths that he has understood in his own life, lives up to that life. That is Mahapurusha Samsraya. So, do we have all these three grace in life of Shrotriya, Abrijina, and Mahapurusha Samsraya? And yes, we have. So, whom we have as the Mahapurusha? We have Sri Rama Krishna. And we have many other teachers, whoever we take refuge in. For the devotees of Sri Ramakrishna is our Guru. And he is always there to guide us through his life, through his teachings. And if we little meditate on him or think of him, we can feel his presence. There, one Swami wrote very nicely about the awareness of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna reveals in three stages to us. Sri Ramakrishna in historical, that Sri Ramakrishna was born this time, he was a historical figure, a great teacher, and great teachings that we understand Sri Ramakrishna. And we get inspiration from his words, from his life, and they are strong enough to guide us to our search for the truth. That is one understanding of Sri Ramakrishna. If we go deeper into the life of Sri Ramakrishna, we have our awareness about Sri Ramakrishna changed into Sri Ramakrishna of awareness. And that we find that he is always there supporting and helping me in my life. Everything that I have done is by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, who is always present with me. And he, at the good time and bad times, he is always there. So he is in our awareness, a practice of the presence of God. So it seems to be very high state of realization of Sri Ramakrishna. When you feel God is always present with you, that can come only through our spiritual practice. That Sri Ramakrishna, the person whom we worship through the photographs, and try to feel his presence in the photograph, presence to try to feel his presence. Now we are actually experiencing his presence in our awareness. There is a state higher than that. Sri Ramakrishna of the heart is the highest state that Swami says. That what is that? You feel living presence of Sri Ramakrishna within you, greater, and who is never separated from that living presence within your heart. You can feel the God is always with you. The teacher is always with you, and that teacher is present in everything in the world. That Sri Ramakrishna, whom you worship as Sri Ramakrishna, that divine presence, is present in everything, and that presence makes everything anandamaya, makes everything as joyful. This joy that we find in the world is because of our experience of God in the thing. Without God, the world is asukha, anityam asukham lokam, says Sri Krishna. The loka, the world as it is created, if you remove God from it, if you remove the divinity from it in your awareness, it is anitya and asukha. It comes and it dies, and there is no joy in the world. So world is that way, but world can be very joyful experience. Human life can be very joyful experience. How it can be? Ananyas chintayanto mam. So when you have achieved this anityam asukam lokam imam prapya bhajaswamam, then you be devoted to me, you worship me, you think of me, then this anitya and asukha loka changes into nitya and sukhamaya, anandamaya. This very world ceases to be asukha, without any happiness. It becomes full of happiness if we can associate it with God. When God is there, there is all joy. Without God, all is material. And that's why this Mahapurusha Samsraya, the grace of this Mahapurusha association, protective presence of Mahapurusha, great persons in our life, is the grace of God, by which we can cross this samsara. The samsara crossing is not easy thing. Going beyond Maya is not easy thing. Maya is very powerful. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya, says Sri Krishna. This Maya is Daivi, divine. It is divine power. It is my Maya. I have created this Maya. This always remains with me. Mama Maya Durataya. Very difficult to cross over. This Maya represents in us like the ego, pride, and this all things the Maya works. When we have all those things coming, anger and the pride, from where it comes, Maya is acting on us. When we have greed, then it's a Maya's play is acting on us. So how can we get rid of this Maya, overcome this Maya? So Sri Krishna says, Sri Krishna said, you have to remember me, be devoted to me to become free from the Maya. Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mameva e Prapadyante Maya me tam tarantite. Whoever takes refuge in me, Sharanagati in me, only they can be freed from the power of Maya that deludes us, that enchants us, that makes us forget about God and thinks about only ourselves, that makes us self-centered, that makes us proud of ourselves, of our little success in life. We become so much proud. But when that pride is gone, that Maya's power is taken away by our devotion to God, then we have no pride in our little success. Then our life becomes so sweet because humility reigns. The pride goes and it is replaced by humility. What is humility? Swami Vivekananda said beautifully. Humility is not crawling on four and to say, I am lower than you, I am adhama, adhama, I am lower than the lowly. That is not humility. Humility, according to Swami Vivekananda, is to feel oneself as one of the human beings, not low, not high. That is how the humility comes. I am one of you, my brethren, my sisters. I am not high or low. I can achieve anything by the grace of God. God is with me, but you also can achieve that. Swami Ishatmananji once said, I remember, what is the difference between self-confidence and the pride? Pride says, I alone can do it. When you say that is pride. And self-confidence, I also can do it. Then it becomes self-confidence. I am like any other human being. I also can do it. And if we add there, by the grace of God, then all humility comes. If we forget God, then arrogance comes. Arrogance makes us very unsavory, our life, our attitude. With humility, life becomes very sweet. And that sweetness of the humble person, becoming very friendly and kind to all, becoming unselfish. That's why Swami Vivekananda says, unselfish is great quality that we can inculcate in our life. What is unselfish? Not thinking about oneself, but thinking about others, giving opportunity to others, making others go first than yourself. Others have the thing that you all want to have. That is called unselfish. And when we are perfectly unselfish, we don't think about ourselves anything. Swamiji goes to say, not even I want mukti before others. Let all attain mukti. Then I am there at the back in the process of getting mukti also. That is perfect unselfishness, when all others are given opportunity. And that is unselfishness, Swamiji says. If we have that kind of unselfishness, you have become God. Unselfishness is God. And in reality, when we consider all and give them opportunity to have the things before me, we are in the truth. The truth says it is only one Atma. There is not many Atmas. Atma is only one. The soul is only one. It all appears as different beings. So when we help others, when we let others go ahead of ourselves in some opportunity to gain, we are in fact, in reality, providing ourselves to go ahead. In helping others, we help ourselves. In enduring others, we endure ourselves. That is the knowledge that comes when we have become humble in our nature. And this humility comes from realization. Manushyatvam, mumukshutvam, mahapurusha samsraya. All these three things come together. Then we can have that highest realization, called realization of the self, Atma Jnana. We can have knowledge of the true reality. And when we have that, then what comes? As Virochana and Indra had got to Brahma, that we find all our desires have gone. We have nothing more to ask, nothing more to gain. We have gained everything that we live in the grace of God, in the bliss of God that we have attained by the grace of God. Manusyattam, Mumukshuttam, Mahapurusha Samsraya. I was there. I have achieved everything, like Indra doing tapasya for 101 years and coming back to heaven after fulfilling and understanding the true nature of the self and realizing that Atman is the Lord of all. It is the Atman, everyone, all our desires cease, all our bondages are open and broken away. Then we truly become the independent man. Nothing of the world can make us dependent, can make us bound to anything. All our suffering ceases. In all situations, we can stand erect and say, the truth is that the world, whatever we see change, is not me. I am the self, never changing. I am that Satchit Ananda Swarupa, that blissful, pure consciousness, that witness consciousness. That is my real nature. What can bind the consciousness? That is the freedom that we can achieve by the grace of God. God has given all that. God created us in His own image, and He loves His creation so much and wants that people to find the reality and find that bliss to which they are heir to. They can get this birthright. Sri Rama Krishna says, those who think of me will get my inheritance. What is my inheritance? He explains himself. My inheritance is my Aishwarya, or inheritance is Viveka, Vairagya, inheritance is love of God and purity. That sort of things. Those who love me, those who think of me, will have those all attain to that state. When if we have that state of purity, that state of bhakti, that state of knowledge, life becomes fulfilled, life becomes all fulfilled. Our feel that yeah, we have done the great achievement in life for which it was given to us. Then we, at the time when we have to leave this life, we have done, now prarabdha finishes, now we have lived all life, sleeping, lying on the bed for getting few times left. The doctor will say, now maybe 1 week left. Then we don't cry 1 week left. Others will cry, but you say, oh God, by God's grace, I achieved what was meant to achieve. Bahukalpa durlabham. In many lives, I tried to do this, but now in this life, by the grace of God, by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna, I have achieved the truth. And you smile. After 7 days, then there is deliverance from the bondage of this body, even. And then I will be freed and will be in the lap of God. They say, what is this freedom? When we realize the truth and the body dies, what type of freedom? Do you achieve freedom from bondage? Those who explain, they say, no, no, you were never bound in reality. You thought you were bound. You thought you were dependent. Just by thinking you are dependent on the world, on this world. This is mind that reacts with the world. The soul is ever free, but somehow by mistake, soul identifies with the mind, identifies with the body, and gets in all the trouble. So, what is really the mukti? It is like a pitcher that is there, and pitcher has got some space inside. And death is like breakage of the pitcher made of earth, earthen pitcher. And death is like breaking that pitcher. This body is gone. Then what happens to the space inside, which had thinking that I am the pitcher inside, I am the space inside the pitcher, ghatakasha. And what happens? Ghatakasa mixes with Mahakasa. Does it mix? Was it ever separate from the space outside? It was always one with the space. The outer space, the earthen jar, the wall just seemed as if it is separated. So that separation was never there in reality. We are never separate from the truth. One Atman, we are that. Just misunderstanding, just lack of ignorance. And by the grace of God, that ignorance can be removed, and we can know we are always with God. We are always in that blissful state, and we can say in that state, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman. I am that infinite existence, knowledge, bliss. I am not this limited body. I am not this mind which changes from time to time. I am not this reaction to the world, dancing to the tune of the world, says you are bad and you feel morose, you are good and you jump with joy. Just their words, and so much change comes in us. Then we become independent from the stimulus that we get from the world, realizing that I am that Satchidananda Swarupa. What I see is also Satchidananda Swarupa. And you find all that in that state. The whole creation seems to be so blissful. Every stage of life is blissful. Youthful is blissful. When you are a teenager, that is blissful. Old age is blissful. There is bliss in the old age. When you are retired, little bodily action happens. You have to deny the body and have to remember that you are the self. So body is just the covering. And if you can stand that pain and aches of the body and little disease that comes and the death that is approaching, no fear of that. The death is inevitable when you assume the body. To accept the truth of creation. And when that happens, then there is always bliss in you, that I am that Brahma Swarupa, Aham Brahmasmi. In that stage, when we live with that realization, by the grace of God, we have got all three, and we have utilized all three. We have got the Mahapurusha Samsraya, you have got Mumukshutta, you have got human body combined together, you have grown enough in your spirituality, then everything becomes joyful, blissful. At the time when we have lived in that knowledge, that bliss, then as it is said, and they say that Madhuvata ritayate, madhuksharanti sindava. Everything becomes sweet for you. This air becomes sweet and blissful. The very oceans become sweet and blissful. Plants and herbs become sweetful. Dust of the earth becomes sweetful. Night and day that are so wonderful and blissful. So everything in the world, human beings, plants, cattle, everything in the world, that becomes so joyful. The very world becomes joyful. When world loses its biting effect and shows us the face that is blissful face, then our prayer, Rudra yatte dakshinam mukham tena mam pahi nityam. We get protected by the south facing face of the Rudra. So that is what the south face of the Rudra. When we find all joy and beauty in this world, all negativity is gone, all the prickling of the all thoughts is gone from the world, and you find the world is so joyful because you have found the source of bliss within you, and that source of bliss within you manifests outside. The whole world seems to be the manifestation of your Atman. You become one with the Brahman. Atman, yourself, and the Brahman, the supreme reality. Then it becomes one and the same. Then we realize that the aspirant realizes Aham Brahmasmi. And the grace of God that God has given us become useful. Instead of becoming Atmaha, then we become Atma Safala. Our life has become successful. Little effort, lot of grace, and we progress in the path of spirituality, which is bliss absolute. Thank you very much.
Excellent deliberation, the Lord's prayers. Most of us, we know that Shankaracharya is the famous quote, Manushyatam Manushyatam Mahapurushya Samstraya. But there's a wonderful way he explained. I never thought in that way. It's the grace of God, God's grace of God. And ultimately, the Madhuvata Adhyayami. And it becomes so wonderful, joy, happiness. And when we look back, we see that all through our life, we are pursuing only happiness. I always say, when we were children, our parents used to insist us to become a doctor, an engineer, a successful person in the society, thinking that success will give you happiness. Then after growing up, we found many successful people in the society are so unhappy. So that started thinking that cannot give us the success. That cannot give us the happiness. Success cannot give us the happiness. The world is success. Now, ultimately, it is only the happiness. So instead of inspiring our children to become like that, we have to say we should be happy always. And happiness comes from the positive thinking. And positive thinking comes from accepting oneself positively. I can do it because I am the source of everything. That Vedantic view takes us to the duality, and again, the duality takes us to the ultimate oneness. The moment we become that, we become so happy and ultimate happiness. Thank you, friends. Thank you for coming and attending and encouraging this way. We are monks of the Rama Krishna order, and we try our best to reach out to the people as the best way, as maximum way as possible, with only one intention, to make people aware their divine qualities. As Swami Vivekananda said, that my philosophy can be said in 2 sentences: to make people aware about their divine qualities and to help them to manifest it. That is our philosophy, that is the way we work, and everywhere all over the world. Now it is 125th year of the Rama Krishna mission. We started by Swami Kripamayananda in 1897, and it is 125 years it's completed. Almost all over the world, almost like 300 centers and 2,000 monks and brahmacharis. They are in only the one idea: I should be happy and I will help people to be happy. Atman moksha jagat ida. I should also get the benefit by this, and then I will try to make others also happy. So let us say Shanti 3 times and we'll go for your lunch. Please repeat after me. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
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 Om peace, peace, peace unto all. We will go and we